sie eine Gypsies, other village. This my village family fathers died. That night, Rinpoche coming, Rinpoche. I say, my uncle, please, today is his family fathers died, Rinpoche died nuns. I cry. Uncle said, okay, you like nuns. I go into this nun. Then this time very difficult in Tibet problem in China, Greek. Little bit better, but no prayer. Then this time is very difficult in Tibet, no money, no enough eat. Then no class. Then I say to my father, please teach me. The father is my ABC, the Tibetan Kakakanga. Teach him to home reading. Sometimes night 2 o'clock. Oh, I reading. I like nuns. That's I too much reading, too much write. Sometimes my mother look. Please, yet sleeping 2 hours night. All people sleep. You no sleep. That's not good. Okay, I little bit sleeping. Then tomorrow morning, night, 3 o'clock, up, I read. I read so much nuns. Like, then it's 13 years old, then I'm nuns. I go into Gamanasti. Then I every day teach monk, teach on meditation. Begin very difficult. I am small children, very difficult, no concentration. Begin very mind problem. Little bit really meditation, thinking too much, thinking. Then slowly, 1 second, 2 seconds, then very better. This real sit, board, stretch, relax. Thinking problem too much, this samsara around this karmas. And this is all weird. Then I slowly, very good, very good concentration, meditation in Gamanasati. Stop by stop, lamsam, slowly. Lamsam, slowly. Then I come in India, every school, Manasati debate, and this land and everything, no concentration. Too much class. Everything, every day morning, every day class. Then 8 years I class on the college. Then come retreat. Same. No concentration. I might retreat must say one day I no concentration. I think a younger time very good concentration. Yes, no concentration. Why? My retreat master, I tell. He said, yeah, very important. You younger, very good concentration. This then coming India, every day too much thinking. This college, reading, thinking, debate. This then teachers, retreat master say, please you before good, then college go every day too much learn thinking which too much every day going. Then I 1 month retreat, 1 month slowly calm down. So sorry, not good English.
Okay, we understand. The same boat with
And
this.
when you were
Okay.
13, your concentration.
We have 10, then 9 breathing, okay?
Breathing.
9 breathing.
Oh,
It's
okay.
very
Yeah,
important.
9 breaths, yeah.
I make this finger.
Yeah.
Yeah. This very important mornings. This very good. This one. This make. Yes. Okay. So this breathe in Buddha's Bodhisattva of the roof come. Breathe in, then negative sickness. Breathing this breathe out negative sickness like roof outside. Okay, this is right side trimmer, this side trimmer, this side together trimmer. This is very important. This concentration. Okay. Thanks, Lord. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Then change. Then nose together. Breathe in. Breathe out. Return. Breathe in. Breathe out. Okay, 3 minutes, relax. Thank you. Good.
Yeah.
Yes, every morning, this very good, important, very good. Sometimes sleep it, or I upstairs, not good, or too much tired. Then window or the door open, the fresh wind, then the fresh air, fresh air, then this nine breathing, the very good concentration on the realized mind is very good.
Okay. We'll start the introductory prayers on page 3. Dan lan da wa je be dan lo bar je be ge dar ba da dam je je ba bar de jo ba je ba dan je je so je manam ga da nyam be se je dam je de wa da de do me dan jar Yurdanana Yanta Paratoga Sanjo all other sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness, may they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Buddhahood. All other sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness, may they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Buddhahood. Thus, until I achieve enlightenment, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Until death, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Bottom of page 5. Sonje Chandon Sonje Chonanda Chanju Bardu Dane Jasanje Kage ji so ji pe so nan jie zhou la pin shi san jie zhi bai xiu. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I obtain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. Mana Kaganya Desen Chintan Deva Dan Deva Judan Deva Judan Dong Dan Dong Judan Java Judan Dong Mi Deva Dam Java Judan May all sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness which is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and hurt. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness which is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and provision. Bottom page 6 in English. The ground is sprinkled with scented water and strewn with flowers. It is adorned with Meru, the supreme mountain, the four continents, the sun and moon. As a Buddha field, I offer it. May all sentient beings attain the happiness of the Buddha fields. Whatever merit I have gathered, prostrations, offerings, confession, rejoicing, beseeching, and praying, for the sake of the enlightenment of all sentient beings, all this I do.
로타와시다.
You can talk to ask her.
로타와. 트라이들로.
Lela, do yo.
되지나. 돌진전진들로 나로다 마바마나지 저금보보 보모트바자 조금 가져노 마나나 그상도 오메지젠제 보라나 뜻산지 그정오냐 라서 지금 오선도제 살라메샬라 주바 찬자노 타바지가 보라네 미바미 베니제와 도가지마트제 카모야나 그상도 나드랭카스 파파라 카창 공연 지킨 숨고 그제베들이 그살라 데디 랍점 시나 다드랭데 염치 뭐 서진도 진시다 데네 치르시데니 마 간동 부사데니 마 슈긴 데엔테다 카창 공연 슈바나지게 사지 데네 오만니 그냥 자제들 진데스 다 간동 신예데 다 드랭 간동데 셔신데 슈삼다 간동 베베카스라 다 간동 스니데 데니 마강게 랭 마강게 강바리도르 다데 가르르시는 마강게 상바이니 김치데 가르르신 땅어토게 가장 공시바나시게 제추 란듀르tin 제 란듀 제땅게베 취지제데 사틴다 조킨 게 템포레데 추데 망진다고 메바이나 베나 캉바로 자바이나 캉발라 망시야 고제 마차이나 대승 그저 땅나 로로 그래 디나시게 데니 추데라 망시야 고제 메바이나 데니 제 가르스나 팀포 메바 추야보 제 마시바 제땅 마시바 던던저 차로 데데다 마강게 랭베데 아니 마타바 팅코르시 이제 미제 그 먹가 강바 제거야 가식 상크도 먹가 강바 이제 미제 가르 제거시다 마타바 스니 등도게 제 딱바다 띵바미바 쟁도 라진바 데데다 디 간동데 퍼퍼캅스라 데니 마강게 랭베 라나 다 마강게 랭베 다 띵상 다 창마 치라 야젠돈 Dharma da shugon Dharma da ka zoka jara onete ta makanga ling go hoyore de bubu kapsara tene chimi ge chuji jiwami ba chuje tene kamsam simji tamjer tu song san tene ka nana ra yime ba nanda riksam zoda nanda riksam la de nawa tongpa ngane song tra tong si ta de so pe kamsam simji tamjer tene 다 사야 미바 토야 미바 고야 미바 바도네 심지 강을 동하여 있다던 저서라다 뭐저게 단지 그 파지하고 체되네 르지바 땅가 여러 되는데네 대 컨센서지의 추지란다 투송 선을 된데지는 간동 비백가서 된데지 삼는 코고레스
So picking up where we left off yesterday at the beginning, just at the very beginning of the sadhana with the invitation, where we are about to tap the thigh bone trumpet that we have arisen in the form of the Great Mother Prajnparamita, and we also talked a great deal about the preliminaries. So again, just bringing to mind the importance of those preliminary mind states, that, whereas, of course, the profound teachings of Mahamudra, the profound teachings of Dzogchen are so important, but without a solid foundation, then they won't really necessarily bring much benefit. It becomes like a house that's built on a shaky foundation. So you may build a really nice, beautiful house, but without a really solid foundation to support it, then it can crumble. So we have to have a solid foundation in our Dharma practice. Without that, as we progress, then we won't be able to really give rise to genuine and authentic understanding of the Dharma. And our Dharma practice won't become stable. So a very important aspect of those foundations is reflection, a really deep sense of the truth of impermanence. And so we have here where we have the tapping of the thigh bone trumpet, and then also the first blow of the thigh bone trumpet. And so what this is doing is summoning all sentient beings, and the power of that summoning is that they are like helplessly drawn. And this is through the power of the union of appearance and emptiness, the sound, that is a union of sound and emptiness, in which all sentient beings of the three realms, and especially those who are really suffering, those who don't have food, those who are without drink, those who are wandering and suffering in the bardo, those, spirits of who are in agonizing states, all the beings of the three lower realms, then they are drawn through this self-resounding sound of Dharma that is a union of sound and emptiness, for the purpose of clearing away the mind of self-grasping. Lasso.
Then that Gandon Baby Castle Tata Jayakasi Jen Nami in Jisimti Tantin New Jaysita Dambo Buddha that Yan Toshitella Denis Sibetsemos Mamashitella Denis Nara near comes Nirva Nara Sinete Timasata Nirvana Neomari. O they attack it in New Shows. Where Tamjin during the shows in pep shows. Tamjin near the dishes in Jokon dishes. That Garisina. Then Bo go with Jim Chi the Garisina, that Garrison Sinjinua the Sola Ganga the Donor the Dayore. That Consonua the Chico with Jim Chi the Gare the Chad the Yorisina, Che Susok Le Mageva. Then Conishipan is nice, Legium J. There's a Hama order, then he that Corvas in it and Mageva Chanta. J. Sad and Namiga, the Nyawa Chendra, the Dejin Gangar, the Doma Trade, dead, so Nyawatang, the need the solar Machi, cheating also that choosing it, Sosola Garisana, Shina, Samba Sampo Detini, Kundra the Tangoso, Kazan Konishibana, yes, said and Joe Kang Batan, Punja, Nyam the Dondra, Jayoma, Ranjipo, Dolo Mipa Mara Sasangela Landroyari Dendita, Koreate, was a chichipo in the Detini, Che. That's something comes on call a major cheated in was like a chunyamit and legend take so song genetini, give a drip, Jimpi Sancho Sankini, Sinti Tamjela Pin Chung was a tamatonange, the rain is on there, and in a pin matonange, no meti, suddenly gone the Corsona, then also Penna Chuchimbojo, Chutipaji, Chungji, Japshana, God. Chöd jamso magang ko ko se ayo martina hike jengo so ko chunyam ni nyunyu ji jetawa na de deni susola kaya yoris.
Gongta de tesa de pena dun dodo de tesa la song gongta denda de gain sena dangbo pena de changma de sipe temo dang nyawa bar de simchen tamche gugyoro yena de barla de pena denda de korwa migewa changchang kanga nyawa dang
Yeah. Chipa chemo sinye de ya toshi de la logris.
de rede de koson de
Nara
koson
yakas manya wa ni simche tamche ta donghar kangar kare chongresina ta ngoto ke le mage sa de na ni ge de je ya te yong yores. De masa wa chi da ta chu yores chu sinye. Chu de le jem de da je wa ma se le jem de ya hu ji zu song je song na ni so so che nya wa na ma je wa. De pin to chen bo yores. Ni soso ke karesen tren du tren izon de nge chu tu ateke teni yinpin sancho semteke simje tamche la nge pin ma to na nge nu meji ni kun hong de kharswa na de soso la samba zambo teke de soso la je charje walang na de pa hyo ai na de de la kanga nyon ro yores.
So when we blow the thigh bone trumpet, then we're summoning all of the beings from the peak of cyclic existence, like the highest of the God realms, down to like the very depths of the lowest hell realms, like the hell realm of ceaseless torment. And the and we're saying come, so we say those of you spirits who are and not who are not strong, don't be afraid, don't be terrified, never be afraid. And we're summoning them, so that they come like quickly. All sentient beings, in the next verse is where what she's talking about, where it says all sentient beings from the top of samsara down to the lowest hell, listen to me. All beings are listening, thus you visualize. So all assemble here, and all beings assemble quickly here. And then we blow the trumpet. And the causes of non-virtue, it's because of karma, cause and effect, that all these beings take birth in these different circumstances, in these different places. We, in our practice of Dharma, the cause for not taking a unfavorable rebirth is through cultivating a good heart and practicing the Dharma. So when we in creating these causes, and we are ensuring, we're creating the causes that ensure that we won't be reborn in the lower realms and the lowest of the hell realms, by practicing the Dharma, by cultivating the qualities of loving kindness, compassion, the mind that wishes to benefit others. And when we die, as we had said before, we have to go on alone. We go naked and afraid, with nothing and no one to accompany us, but the causes that we have created, the karma that we have created during our lifetime. And so by really using this life to do what we can to benefit beings, and if we can't benefit them, to at least refrain from harming them. And then it becomes, our practice of Dharma becomes like adding, especially when it's supported by pure dedication, like adding drops of water to a vast ocean. So as long as the ocean is there, then that water that is added to the ocean will never dry up, but it'll kind of like go toward just continuing to increase and expand our merit and this path of and guide us on the path to awakening.
나서 근데 직디 간동 비사도 송이베 용포 트레면 냠초하는데 망아시스레데
Rede lamen.
나서 근데 근데 야테 지진데 this shita 다 가르레스나 소바와 슈다 서라다면 소바와 슈다 한 시티 베찬노 잭스나 아니 땡네 마르바시네 데니 다 also train caps papal so바와 슈다 서라다면 소바와 슈다 한 시타 데레레 연시된 뜻으로 요 마텐데 robda shayud 당 also 르텔라 마짱부 제심치라 마짱부 제심치 소비가 란지 요리 심치 소도가 란지 알까즈는 차나 쳐서日本 오늘 진의 산제도 산주 선박에 제된 뭐做了나 뭐做个뭐做다 차는 신 들으시는 나 신이든 나를 랑지보 삼는데 차 신도 되는 거는 마다바당 되는 지 다지 총로로서는 나 신이데 총로로를 때인데 나 신이데 제 마다바람시바 데 마짱바람시는 신질로반지 라야 된 것도 그때는 마다바라 딱반지 마짱와라 짱와지 다미발라 다요 말에 다미발라 다지는 때니 때는 것도 거와 참 좋아요 때인데 다들은 뭐저게 제 르데 마짱바람시 바더니 상고리 마짱바 차나가람시 바 되니 딱봐도 빈밤이봐 되지 따나 뭐좀 딱밤이봐 하고요 가시 로 충분히 로나 좀 시도 해요래 가시 기는 시도 가시 제로 총총 로 접제 저거 좀 상마 딱봐지는 뭐제 로 동타망보 롱 동타망보 데데기 뭐지요 말이 돼 다 된대진 뭐장부 제 심지 소도가 란지 때 뭐장부 란지 때 되니 동방왕장 동방왕장 스니더 양 하장게 동바 동장 리스나 마이바 되니 동 나이신 동라 되니 사동가 송도 조바 페는 자우카란지도 제 되니 나 제 마장부 제 심지 소도 되니 동바란지바 사르란지바 사동 송도 조바란지바 되니 되니 장고레스
So then we have on the next page, we have the Swabhawa mantra. So rather than going through, like each meaning and kind of breaking it down, there's sort of the overall establishing of the empty essence by overturning like the grasping to true existence. So this ordinary body that we perceive to have some real substance or true nature that is comprised of these 36 impure substances. So, blood and pus and all of the different bone and all of the phlegm, all the different sort of parts that comprise this kind of unclean, impure form. We have such strong grasping to that. We think of it as I, that really becomes the basis of our ego grasping. And so first through the understanding of impermanence and having less attachment by seeing kind of the unclean nature of the body. So then they're essentially like three levels of grasping that need to be counteracted. And this is really what's happening with the Swabhava mantra. So because of our delusion, we cling to that which is actually impure. We cling to that which is actually impermanent. We cling to it as being permanent. We cling to that which is actually unclean as being clean. And we cling to a self when the reality is actually that of non-self. And so understanding these, like what is really the nature of like unclean as unclean, what is really the nature of impermanence as impermanence, by understanding the nature of non-self, to overturn the habit of self-grasping. Then we purify. We do so by establishing the ground of emptiness, and so this emptiness is not nothingness, but it is emptiness pervaded by luminosity. It's a union of luminosity and emptiness, and so out of that emptiness arises the form of the divine form of the deity, which is like rainbow light. That is the union of clarity and emptiness. And this is what completely counteracts or overturns our mistaken perception or clinging to this impure form as reality endowed with the 36 impure substances.
Lasso, then pegs that peg thing at don't dama for your peg land the dance chia and that ramada yori the inaya tata mashu the round ripata trendy Chirtan Kartang and Dortichi, Tarayang Sava Pahe Pecha Tende, Jut Jonkon the Kartan Shure the Taste and Dortich and Shishana, that Machig Labdron and Ma Jund, that Penna Bed of Chai in the Shingdong of Sama Hakul, Shingdong de Machig Labdron de Chie, then it's Shingdong de la Yarga the Loma Mampoyori, that day also sat Bechat and Drama New Market. Machig Labdron ma ju ni ke pecha yang ju teni ka ju saja gelo ni ma te zo pecha te sin drama da yor yina ya ju ngune chongsa de Machig Labdron mo zo ju kare nyamni chena jiparis chongsa ama de Machig Labdron de tren ju de ma jonde tangbo jiktin ta mo zo ka ju ke kare la lineage laguna de Kyobpa Jigten Sumgön ma Machig Labdron de Jigten Sumgön ma je share tata Kusali Chod Sat AM ta ngozoken nyamne jia de pamo de ta di pecha de na yori di ngang de na par yori pa pampa de na yori de ta suso ka tren rang re pa sem de yedam soso ke chetange soso yedam yuna soso ke drama chena de gorombo chena de ya soso kare chena de yina ya tene soso de pamo jes chena je chores de da tren de nyamne te rang repate tene jitso dordi namjerma senteji tene lute ta soso lute tren rang sente dordi namjerma che tene lute ta ngozok ma shatang chada rupada de zo ma jimba panyaris mikpa chen
So de gongta de tesko ma song tenra so yena miona drama guru rambuche la so da dering de kala parja de jetsunam drama dang chikpa yimpa samne do
da koranto chetange de lagra ta ngozoke yedam gombu kapsara su gomna degris pena garo roboje che sagan namba la dordi pamo
yeah
deni suso ke yedam kare suso ke kare gomna degris chepa yomaris
okay
so ke do yeb lagmareta yeb ngozon den yeb dela deni dordi pamo marmo
yeah yeah. Okay. Mhm.
lama impala nampala ya de yuwa. Ngobo so su la so gomna dres. Nampa de dordin namjabe impati de ya koyores.
Lasola. So then first we have the white offering. So then with the white offering, first we recite the syllable pay. Drupon says there's actually lots of ways to explain the inner meaning of reciting the syllable pate. But the function that reciting pate really has is to cut through the mind of self-grasping. And in brief, we have these two types of feast here in this particular sadhana. Mainly, there's the white feast, and then the red feast. So the red feast mainly. So all of this comes from the lineage of Machig Labdron. So all whatever, and Machig Labdron was really kind of, maybe, primarily also connected with the Nyingma tradition. So we have all these branches of Chöd practice, whether Nyingma, Kagyu, Sakyu, Gelug, they're all, the source of all of them is really Machig Labdron. So this particular Chöd practice comes from Machig Labdron, and then it's like, the lineage that goes through Lord Jigten Sumgön. So it's the Lord Jigten Sumgön that the Kusali Chöd comes from, but the source really being Machig Labdron. So when we start, as it says, pate, and then our consciousness is ejected out of our body into the sky and then transforms into Vajrayogini. So our mind becomes Vajrayogini because our body is that which we're going to then be offering, the flesh and blood of our body. Now, whatever Yidam deity that we practice, whether it's Guru Rinpoche or Tara or whatever deity, we don't actually have to feel like that's any different, because the essence of that deity, even though the form that we're visualizing here is Vajrayogini, it isn't actually any different from whatever our actual Yidam deity practice is in essence. But here it's good to visualize the form of Vajrayogini, and then we are offering the substance of our body, so our mind being ejected from our body and taking the form of Vajrayogini, is then cutting up and offering the contents of our body in the practice of generosity, in the practice of this cutting or chöd.
Hola, so tene jin dan kom do san jin zo pan de se ta phamo de la dorte je hyu na dren phamo ke ta ko jin chalo de hyu de na dren ma go sanye zo ya yo mar dorte je hyu sha wa na ta ma shin trago kon la trago jin yo re trago de ta kon ke de dan je ta sinye de je trago de ta mato para loparto pasi mato ina ti masenki sa loparto rola e de chesa rata machina ta dorje pamo de chen jansha zhego jansha ni cha jansha ta de hina to pango de do de nampo mambo de sama nampo zolora de mar de shusha na samsu de ni zhego de ta konge daji je das ni jatela non poi usa carena tapchora de konga daji je sanen de daji je chain son sonse gres de kongla jin sam yore se jin sam te tan de maung tata de sam simji tham je de ni ta dorje permission kan ngen jin to gi ngala so at mona kan ta nyamne chewa na Nyan Jin Tokui, Chop Tokui, so the dinner demo, Tata do some nothing, Zeg de in something curious. Didn't cha the that in a tupana trial, didn't machapal chat, that machapal chapel chas in machapal, chapa me back. That was okay. Cha down the Zopano Zura, Zura de la machapa. Any palm da jingba la pango de yore. Pa de garezo is in da pass in it be kalasaya la be zopa jang kanjong manjo sagra. Then pa de get then then zunga yore karesana. Zangzo mi ba. Then zangaris. That then zangaris, ngoto ke de ni jin ko wan chandroya. 대 장아리스 대 쪼바리스 뭐네지는 뭐또 샘데 장마조고야 대 샘데리데 뭐또 조보트 대 트야든 돌로트야 덴타르는 뭐보트 뭐네지는 뭐또 샘데 쪼고야 대 개침버리도스 대인데 또 장마 이 콘나바 아 마장바 장조미바 니니 미바 차바미바 데니 덴덴 진 토바 쪽토바 덴데제 yes.
So if we were going to get into like explaining, the visualization of Vajrayogini, all of the different attributes of Vajrayogini's form, this could take all day and go into tomorrow if we were going to really focus on it. So she said she'll just kind of mention a few aspects of Vajrayogini and kind of this symbolism of her, all the different attributes of her form. So first of all, Vajrayogini is holding the curved hook knife, or the drikung. And what this primarily symbolizes is cutting through the mind of self-grasping. Sometimes we see that and it feels scary. Actually, this can become these different attributes of these wrathful and semi-wrathful forms can actually, if they are not understood, they can actually be disturbing and cause one to have wrong view, to misunderstand essentially. So it's not like she's a murderer and she's, gonna kill people with her drikung, but it represents the cutting through the mind of self-grasping. And then she and she has 3 eyes. So these 3 eyes represent clairvoyance and seeing into the 3 times in order to achieve the benefit of all sentient beings. And therefore, can through, anyone who supplicates her for protection, she looks after and cares for all sentient beings of the 3 realms, seeing into the past, present, and future with her 3 eyes. And then she has a skull cup filled with blood. So the blood is something that ordinarily, again, we have this feeling like, ooh, blood, that's scary, that's unclean. But what the blood represents here is non-attachment. So the mind of non-attachment, and then the pig's head. So she has a sow's head, a pig's head, attached to or coming out of her head, and this represents just like the pig who eats whatever it finds, regardless of clean or dirty, without any attachment to one thing and aversion to another. So this represents the transcendence of concepts of duality. So pure and impure, clean and unclean, good and bad, and so forth. So all of these dualistic polarities, the mind that is constantly judging, accepting and rejecting, choosing one thing and pushing away and something else, else. This mind of dualistic grasping is what keeps us bound. It's what keeps us wandering in cyclic existence, what perpetuates cyclic existence. And so what we really have to make clean, or what we really have to cleanse is the mind. Inwardly, we have to clean our mind. We have so much outward fixation, on cleanliness. We wash our clothes, we wash our body, but we don't. But really, what really needs cleansing, what needs to be cleaned, is the mind. And so this, and when the mind is completely purified, it actually totally transcends that dualistic fixation of polarities.
라서 다 드니 konke katanga ting ting yore katanga de 드니 야 헤르가 베버다 야 비엄시나다 야 헤르가 베버 차데 드니 남들 드니 katanga ting yores 당 어떤 직딘 이렇게 자와에는 직딘 바가 드니 착바 제끼를 차드니 야 비엄 든데지 제헤르 콘나바다 마차바르 드니 베버 그 남들 든데지 요레스
And so then she also has the trident, the Khatvanga. So the Khatvanga represents the hidden Heruka, the male consort. And so this hidden Heruka, or the symbolism of the consort also doesn't fall within the confines of worldly attachment. So it's not to be misunderstood, but it's actually the union of bliss and emptiness that is completely free of attachment.
Tēnā ngā tsō ka tarain hlā gōm dēyā tē tā ka kāshia ka sāngkho yore sāhā ina nīmbā ina hlōma hā kōr dē hlā gōm yā dē kārēs ina ngō tsō ka chākpa dēn dzīmbā shēk rō rēs. Tē shēk sō tā tēng tsāng lā mā nā pā tān jī chī nā pā dēn rō kā sā rēng sār tūng yā tāng tēnī gyālu nā drab rō yā tāng tēnī tā tūk dām nā yōg dā yā tē Te karesina ngone de mesha do kapsala kanga de donga shena de chana jin jin do yorde khon nam pala chakwa de jimba me pa ke tini rinsan thuya ta thodar yoya jaw trya te ta hla gom delicate ni na sartan son de jo pa te gom de chakwa de jimba shena de ni te yong yorde tini lama tamchela khon na par yong re ngocho yong mari san den de he mar san ngocho changma sang je si de ka che drami sam na cho sa dripa jang ne den de din san je cha song jo re ma do hob de kala je korwana ne sang je de ka le ka boris ta mala re pa na e pa chun de chim bo na den che de je sang je de wa den je yor ma do nga zon na je susu ge tata nga tamar pa kanza je yang yin sam de le lo nga na ma de ji je nyam ne je na mo zo ran yi chang ma da che ga za la ji ga yin de zhuo xin de chao ba den jin ba xie su na ga xin de yang ge re si de ni nga yin na ra de ni dong pa dang na ge de nga ge zhe ba de da ro ye re si
Kare te patagi yore kane
다 hla gombo kapsa luji de ro re shu ba san chun de ya ko chapa jin ba he ne den re ni da ju den yang tin dang tin de ya da nga da ya de ke ni nga ge de ba
nga
ke ba ta ma ko sa hyo ra de so de ba yo res
So, here she said there, So there's a lot of different students, like some, students who are really new to the Dharma, some students who are, who have been practicing the Dharma for years, senior students. And so there's kind of, different levels of understanding, and, some might be completely new to deity practice, like not fully understanding what it's all about. And we have, what it really is, in practicing the deity, primarily we are overcoming the mind of attachment and fixation. We're purifying the body, essentially. We're purifying all three doors of body, speech, and mind, but primarily the form of the deity. By meditating on the enlightened form of the deity, we're purifying the obscurations of the body. And indication of that occurs when, for instance, when you hear stories of great masters who, when they pass away, sometimes their bodies, when they're cremated, they produce all of these really extraordinary relics, which are called ring cell in Tibetan, or they remain in tukdam as they die, for days after their death, like they're still fresh and warm and in the position of meditation, or there are those who, for instance, accomplish the rainbow body. And the reason why they can have all of these auspicious signs occur at their death is because they've completely overcome the mind of attachment and fixation. They're completely free of difficulty and suffering and fear. They dwell within the recognition of the ultimate nature. And this comes primarily, often through their generation stage practice, meditating on the Yidam deity, and therefore realizing the true nature of all phenomena, of all appearances, to be the union of clarity and emptiness, the indivisible union of clarity and emptiness. So they understand the lack of intrinsic nature to all phenomena, and therefore there's no attachment. There's no grasping, no clinging and attachment. And so we also don't need to think like, oh, well, this is just obviously something that's completely unattainable for people like us. This is just like what high mass level masters with great realization can achieve. We shouldn't think of it that way, because actually the practices are accessible to everyone and the results are accessible to everyone, but it just has to do with the level to which we actually embody and engage in these practices. So there is, the path of Sutrayana. It is said, according to the Sutrayana, it is said that the path of awakening takes eons. It can take 3 immeasurable eons. But then we have examples, that demonstrate what is promised with secret mantra, which is, the potential to awaken fully in a single lifetime, in a single body, like the example of Milarepa. When we meditate on ourselves as the Yidam deity, we're purifying the obscurations of our body. When we recite with melody, we're doing the recitation of the text, in the case of Chöd, with this beautiful melody. This is actively, we do it in such a way that we delight in it, we enjoy it, and both the visualization and with the recitation of the melody and the words of the text, then we're actively purifying the obscurations of our speech.
나서 되는 다랑 그들은 거는 시바는 랑 리파테 되니 더지 남절면 샘되지 수술로보다 되니 뱀보제를 뱀보는 시선을 로제결도는 되니 마진바 타야리 타타테타 간지를 가르쟁어라 당어서 메미나 마르세사 가르세사 게요라 Tata, Gijimba Matayate, then Karzek or Kanjiri. A vegetarian no.
What's that?
Vegetarian, the vegetable.
Vegetarian. Yeah.
Then the also support the Tenjin, my Jimba Tang road, same take Patria, the Lekatia, the represent Dorjanam Jerbejin. Then it tampo rank and doing the run bumpo cheres in the Zopo, Germa by Impate. Mayo, then it della pe soy numbers in pe Nana he. 샤자보요 받은 데제 데베 유딩아다 데베 시나더니 마제야라더니 조자 조야보요 게 자야보 저 심보 심보 드니 렉산 잠보 덴덴 데베 유딩아다 데데와 제 유스마 데 any pexing den the rannes na rangelöde den the lomes den the ni jon korchen pope so kapala de tambo de kapala de tra de vajir yogin trago yora de tra ni tupa do something na shi da kapala josa je yua chirang kansam no de na shi jebet tagba something na de ni tupa kapara de pe ya chempo je sam dini de den so rang le germa de yo der nem yo ba dini long men ba de dini ye so yun so ne de zara da ni ju zma tam je da ne zma ngi bo da zma ma zang wo de so da ne dini bon bon je ne de je dini sa gar bo yin ba dini ta di shiran so zi na ma bo 서가보 임바 타근 소지 나마보 임바 데니 시라근 소지 타시 야마르바 본선 동기지바 벤 잠벨랭게 파춘간데 데르 침보 제데니 gongoris.
So in any case, here we've ejected our consciousness and it has inhabited instead the enlightened form of Vajra Yogini, and our body is left in front of us naked. And this is, so we have these two feasts. So with the white offering, this becomes, or the white offering and the red offering, or the white feast and the red offering. And so the white feast, it becomes like kind of the peaceful offering, or the offering that is made to like the vegetarians. Whereas the red feast is more, the red offering is for those like really kind of more hostile spirits that like need to partake of flesh and blood and so forth. But in any case, we're still offering our body. We're just transforming it into nectar in the white feast. And so first we see our body, we're in the form of Vajra Yogini, and in front of us lies our dead body, naked, healthy, and plump. She said, shining, kind of like that, like a fish, like a shiny fish, with all of the qualities to satisfy the five senses. So we think that it is endowed with, all of the, that it smells wonderful, it's delicious to the taste, it's kind of nice sounding to the ears, that it has all of these kind of wonderful qualities that are pleasurable to the five senses. And so then when we say pate, then with the knife in our right, so pate, in front of you, in the middle of fire and air, manifesting from the syllable kam, there are 3 human skulls as a support for the skulls to come. So this becomes like the hearth. And then in the next line, when we cut off our skull. The knife in your right hand cuts the skull from the corpse. So the skull then becomes like overturned, rests on the hearth. And it is gigantic. We can think that it's really immense, and on the outside it is white, on the inside it is red. Being red on the inside represents wisdom, the wisdom of emptiness. Being white on the outside represents method, the method or skillful means of great compassion. And so these qualities of the skull cup, white on the outside, red on the inside, represents the indivisibility of the skillful means of great compassion and the wisdom of emptiness. And so we can think that then this skull cup becomes really vast and immense, like, in like the size of the universe, that it is, becomes this great vast vessel. And so in this way we meditate.
And 니죠 다때 드츠 서간나마 춘된제다 동섬 동지분 줄진이 간네 팩 데나 반처스다 당하 수수 반포라는 수수 로라 로 요는데 메버 아니 니페죠 탐제 메버 롱 유다 무슨 라미양 감자요 남죠 어디 나시겠더니 니페죠 드마 탐제 체 차 맞장버 제 탐제 다네 다 드츠 마포는 저선스 this
marble.
Yeah, then pegs dela peg land dela zertune this marble then zertune then yishi this gen dear son some then imi yishi this tamchek this ni de then ni sami pa kallamaraman dang chabas pe perna kauna ni ma shana then karpo karjan solo meje jan marpo marjan zerend karman jiba the Gerson some. And za sinata soon tata drone pusher than zas in the soon chase, then homes in the yoke chase, bums in the tinny, talk gibbon on the bums in the tinny, that chirang so drone pusher the guy in the church in the Euro announcing also kata, talked down the drone bura tinai. Then sinata, nismi pa perna nangmanga nansai the so. Then Machig Labdron chirang nang na hi jiro ji sta odin pos in the nang cha na hi nang ni na hi chirang jiro ji kare je go na jiro ji sen na hi ode then om a hong sin de ni go song to de nam chu ma da pa ngo la then le nga yi sam ta ta bu na wala then go song to ga no so de jin hla gom de de then go song to sin lam jon then go song to person up to yours.
So then so then we have again, it says pit, and it says the corpse is thrown into the skull. So we take the corpse and we place it in the skull, and it becomes completely purified of any sort of impurity. So it says at the same time that the air comes into motion. So this is like when we recite the syllables, for instance, Ram, Yam, Kam. It's like the wind blows from underneath, the fire blazes, and the substances melt, and the impurities overflow, separating from the pure substance of the nectar, and it transforms into a red amrita, a red primordial wisdom nectar. And then we again recite the syllable pate. And then with this, from the amrita in the skull, light emanates and spreads in all directions, thereby drawing the wisdom nectar from the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions. This wisdom nectar that is summoned from the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas then merges with the nectar that our body has become in the skull cup, and it becomes like white tinged with red. So then this becomes like the merging of the samaya and the wisdom nectar. So they become non-dual, and it becomes like completely kind of radiant and lustrous and endowed with all of the wonderful qualities of primordial wisdom nectar. And then we recite the syllables za, hung, bam, ho. And so here with the za, we are saying we're summoning, or like a za has the effect of summoning. Bam means, like be seated and delight in this sort of feast. And then ho is the becoming indivisible. So this is the invitation of the blessings from the wisdom beings, the wisdom nectar, which then is sort of sealed with the recitation of these syllables, za, hong, bam, ho. So just like as if you were inviting these, important beings to a great feast, and you would say, come, be seated, delight, and then there's, the merging of the samaya and wisdom nectar. And then we have the syllables om, hung, which represent the qualities of enlightened body, speech, and mind. So they then are, symbolizing the receiving of the blessings.
나서 then text 단위 차게 투부 디지주다 소소 redog ne jangsi roa recto yora terere yinda ne jangne ani takwes shina koyari dene yaya kan pusam sopa ta de gare jesam gortine text dani saga tubu ta soso ta de koni shipana je dorde pamote semte rang sem de deni dorde pamoji leze jimba tang de deni chala yupa deni de katana si kabal na deni dutsu yuwa deni tekse chuna de nyawa simji sanu jin jikdin samna ta sanu jin jikdin la tor nyanne gun la tor sin paton dutsu de turn de sanu jin jikdin de ome di xian kam la ku ani yang pex yang ji du zhe re pe nya wa na sa ta du zhe re pa tang ge nya wa na ne be sim ji tam ji de ni nang ju ji sim ji ta de la nang go go nang ju sim ji ne be nya wa ne be sim ji tam ji de ni lu ji zhe pa dang nga ge zhe pa yi ji zhe pa zena da she's a dripper the late dripper the she's a dripper pakcha dripper jenanda karena te som jane and gypsum dot him current your songs at the digitan roar to the tata nyarwa tambo nyarwa tini yeda to the jet in the repayote and was okay the jimmy pachiares.
That's all. So then we have the offering. So this is the actual practice of engaging in the generosity of offering our body, where then we say, so we've consecrated the nectar, we've offered the contents of our body, we've put in the skull cup, and we've purified all defilements and impurities. We've endowed it with blessings. And so it's been consecrated. And now we offer it as nectar to each of the beings of the 6 realms. So first, then we say Pate, still in the form of Vajra Yogini with the skull in your hand, you scoop out Amrita from the skull in front of you. With this Amrita, so we take the skull from our, as Vajra Yogini, as using it as like the ladle, and we scoop out some of the Amrita or wisdom nectar that we've just consecrated from this gigantic skull cup that is, the size of the 3 billion-fold universe with all of the pure nectar. And we sprinkle it over the hell realms first, transforming them into the Buddha land. It says Buddha land Ogmin, so we could also say the pure realm of Akanishta. And so again, Pate, again, by the touch of the Amrita, the beings in hell are purified of their 3 kinds of veils: karma, klesha, conflicting emotions, and shedrip, which are the cognitive obscurations or delusions towards reality, and they are transformed into Vajrayogini. So here, each time we offer the nectar, we sprinkle it over each of the 6 realms. And first, as it is sprinkled over each realm, in this case first the hell realm, then the outer container of the environment is transformed into a pure Buddha field, into a pure realm, the pure realm of Akanishta. And as the beings, that it touches the bodies of the beings of those realms, then it instantaneously purifies all levels of veils and obscurations. So the obscurations of afflictive emotions, the obscurations of karma, the subtle karmic imprints, the most subtle form of obscurations, the cognitive obscurations. So all these layers of obscurations are purified just by touching the body of those beings, or the bodies of those beings being touched with the nectar, and they are transformed into the enlightened form of Vajrayogini. So the first of these 6 realms that we offer to are the hell realms, the beings of the hell realms.
몰라서 아니 백 나니 자게 드바 드즈주다 찌파리 두파는 드즈지 주는 tor 데니 다다데 거니 데르라 냐와데라 방어서 오늘 머시데 물을 단죠 좁제데 물을 친데 배 공포리 간스데 공포리스나 땡상 먹게 라케요르 머데 쳔보 인자 모자데 제 머데 쳔보 인자 통되어 제게 인자 잠벨렌데 머데 망타샤 라케요르 당문에 잠소나 쟁조 잠소나 로그마 또 야가들 또제 야자다 머톤 드신 톤타망 포제 요리 드신데 다 총총 인자 통케요 말 망 trajo maritem tendote mang trajo yorete teni mete dan modate so che tra pa za ta de thong de yin zan ma chang ma sang ko yorete zan ba len de mang traja nyoda kang che traja la ko yorete ta do ji ya ga ya ji jan di olen ba chung chung de sai mang po je yore de yin pa ta de tende je ta de ka san ba de la ta de ma da de pe nyu nyu de ta ten chang pe chai ya ma chang de la pu ji ni ma ko yo ma de na ta po lu pe chai ka na ma chang de pa ma ni la pu juk sam ji fi yo de ta ha yo de de ni che ta na che de me ken thong de ta mang ta ha de sang pe yo de tam jer job je de dim pe me le rin che de pe kong po re 공부 하장게 책들의 밀치다 딘바 제 추당 추를 체든기 삼바zambo 용기 아니 공통 장마 용기 레dim제 땅라 이시진기 배 하장게 뇨뇨를 되니 대도 제다 추를 체 된제진 땅에 tenjetian nyamni ji ge de pe gung po nyong po de den de mo zo ge de chu ka si je pa de so so pa ma ze be ji jiang me de jiao hu ma no so jiao to ma mi ba ni pa ma de bin ja de ni cho ga de ji men ma je de ji jiang me ba mo so chang ma da da le gen de de yo de den de so chang ma nang de ren chu ge wa gang de ba de ni 심 ji tham ji lang e pi hyo de 고long 장마데 컨네 딘데 냠네 지순 택바 침보 신이 차르고요. 택바 총어다 있나? Then into Ranjan Ranjibo, tourism, Toyakachi, the Gohon persona, the Chugeva, the pen, Union Channel. Motoga, Tipa Chimbo, since the penna, they come by then, go Jap, Goja, Jap Jashana, Murti Ya, young term, Sir Daughter Mary, didn't I channel here? Tipa Chimbo, since they go then go see and must in a young chora, young chora, then I see open door channels. Then the same not take go home judging, but the same not got caressing open the carilla that pocket on the
openly. Yeah.
inch
Open.
the same Kuyampo.
Gachimbo. Yeah, Kuyambo.
Good top of my pay up chat.
Mhm.
다 빠충어스는 신의 거대는 나 기보 되네 탈바 터지 그냥이 제데 디 고노 자스전의 페나 고데 잡샤이나 마야 로토만 털 로토만 페 심바 자충조지 차로 데 추케와 간 드바데 아니 심지 탐지 파마 마저 지점이 자벨네 강아 녀다 서효 녀데 코란스 종선에 대해서는 시선에 대해서 뭐 손포도 저를 샤딘 대저 용서 선의 공통 제시하는 뭐도 심자진보 그양보 그거 신이제 냠네 제탑 대저서 드라인 냠네 대저서 찬 호요레스
So then we say again, pit, and it says with the skull cup in your hand, you scoop out the amrita, and this time you sprinkle it over the world of the hungry, or the realm of hungry ghosts. Now, so it's the same in each sequence with each of the 6 realms. And when we think of each of these 6 realms, we can reflect on, all the countless of beings who are countless beings who are stuck in these realms with terrible suffering. And also kind of use it as a way to reflect on just how rare it is to achieve a precious human birth. We think, actually, it's kind of funny how people talk about how, the world is overpopulated, there are too many people in the world, that there's so many human beings. But actually, when you compare, the number of human beings to other types of beings, it's still actually, human beings are few and far between. It's very rare to be born as a human. If you take just one rock and you lift up that rock and you look at how many bugs there are just living underneath, the area of that one rock, there's so many living creatures in that little piece of earth, and so we can see that really, actually, there are many, many more life forms than there are, just human beings. But, it seems like, oh, look at how many cars there are, and just like that there are so many humans inhabiting the planet right now. And, and even like when you look at, but actually, even these days, people are really having fewer and fewer children. So people have like 1 or 2 children, but like, in Tibet, like in the old days in Tibet, families were typically like, 13 to 16 children. It would be like, wow, you'd see one family standing there and it would be like too many. So, but, so people are also, not having as many children, generally speaking. And when we kind of, again, the main thing being that when we reflect on how many other animals and creatures that there are compared to human beings, it really kind of hits home and helping us to understand the preciousness of being born a human being. And not only that, being born as a human is very rare, but then meeting with the Dharma is even rarer. Having interest in the Dharma is even rarer. Having the desire to become a good person, to develop the beautiful qualities of the heart and mind, and a pure motivation, having faith in the teachings on karma, cause, and effect. So those who have all these conditions are few and far between. It's very, very rare. Um, and uh, and and so we reflect on that, and also really are able to, through this practice, cultivate our compassion. So when we're visualizing that we're offering this nectar to these beings of the 6 realms, reflecting on the suffering of each of those 6 realms, and thinking to ourselves, or reminding ourselves that we have a deep connection with all those beings, that there's not a single one that has not been our own mother and father at some point in time or another. And so we share a karmic bond with these beings. And so then when we think, may they be benefited. So together in that act of offering the nectar, then you're generating great love and compassion for these beings, and really genuinely wishing to liberate them, which becomes the motivation of the great vehicle, or the Mahayana mind generation or intention. So what really distinguishes the intent of the Mahayana from the intent of the Hinayana, or the lesser vehicle, is this really the depth of development of the altruistic mind, or the mind that is focused on the welfare and benefit of others, whereas the intention of the lesser vehicle, are those who achieve the states of liberation and awakening of Shravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas. It's a much more narrow intention, because they're just focused on primarily benefiting themselves, so the objective is, may I be free from suffering, may I achieve liberation myself, and then the virtue becomes so limited when there's that kind of limited motivation, and whereas with the really vast and deep intention of the Mahayana, then the virtue becomes so inconceivably vast. It's multiplied, through the purity of that intention. And it's like an open door, opening the door of the mind, that is welcoming everyone. And so when the door is open, anyone can kind of move through. It's spacious, it's easy. Whereas if you close the door, you become kind of stuck in this little room. And so that's kind of what the intention of self-interest is like. It narrows the mind, it limits the mind. And then even though one might have otherwise wholesome intentions, and is engaging in virtue, the reach of that virtue becomes very limited because of just the narrowness of the intention. And so this practice, especially where we're really actively cultivating the qualities of the heart, love and compassion, and bodhicitta, which is really vast, and welcome, this welcoming of all beings, like the complete openness, kind of the open door for anyone to move through, that this kind of vast intention, especially then when sealed with dedication, it becomes inexhaustible in its merit and virtue.
그래서 다 거니 시바나지 다니사게 냐와라 차단게 동할시 예다 찌검체 동할시 다도 손용도야데 짐치데 가르 토요레스네 데니 제 가르스나 소소케 ser ngisonsam na 데니 ngisonsam 짐바땅 마타 야 주반벌 마타 딘디시네 예다 시니데 센나가 왕게 데데 차선 데니 예다 라제와 랑소나 데니 취세벨 고가요 마 지금제 동안 소소가 사야게 통야게 레드 카바 미점 사야 통하게 제 프로젝트 감데나 프로젝트는 야샤오는 통터가요 말을 레게 페나 나 라이나 데니 추제를 배차야는 추제를 배차샤와이나 데니 라이나 추라 드즈진 통거요를 드즈 데니 메나 추라 추안통거요를 다 예다이나 추마도제 낙차 나다차 데제 통거요를 데서 참 레게 데니 드라이어리스 레머게 버세 데니 나히 그 드라이어리
So we have each of the 6 realms, and then the specific types of suffering that are associated with each of those realms. So, for instance, the beings of the hell realms are primarily suffering from, excruciating heat and cold. The beings of the hungry ghost realms, or here it says the Tibetan name, which is Yedak. They're suffering from immense hunger and thirst. And this is a result of the ripening of their negative karma based on a propensity, an especially strong propensity for different afflicted mind states. So for anger, it is or for the hell realms, it's primarily the afflictive emotion of anger that leads to being anger and hatred, that leads to rebirth in the hell realms. And for hungry ghosts, it's primarily miserliness and greed that leads to a rebirth in the hungry ghost realms. And likewise, then you have the suffering of the animal realms and so on and so forth. And based on the different kind of karmic makeup of these beings, their experience is essentially everything that they experience is karmic manifestation. So a simple substance like water, is experienced differently according to the different realm that those beings are in. So for human beings, we call it's water. We drink water. That is what it satisfies or quenches our thirst. For hungry ghosts, it's blood and pus, that satisfies or quenches their thirst. For beings of the hell realms, like molten lava. So it manifests this in different ways according to what it is that karmically, the karmic makeup of those beings, the beings of those realms.
라서 다 다ting에 단저접제 단디 melrin치 짜침보리 신예데는 것도 다 추게와라 톱 된저제 냠네 진케라 단저접제 단디 melrin치 생년들이 신예데들이 당어서 melrin치 단저접제 단디 melrin치 되게 가르제 거라스나 되니 심지 탐지 파마마세 베직장명서게 파마세 심지 탐지랑 애들이 추게와 가 저기는 디소 참마 고노 잠봉하는 데데 냠네 제거를 쉬바 아니 텐도 뭐조다 다다 넘버 산제 발라 데데 뭐조 추거를 쉬야데 뭐조 산제케 뭐조 심지 탐질라 로바 요거지는 땅 나요르스 데네 제 뭐조 데솔라 뿜보지야게 나요 말 코란스 로바지야게 그 피다야 로바지야게 뭐조 요거지는 땅 요레스 대학 당하게 무슨 담저저제의 물론지 chu tu then chu go la show nyamne che deva de nga simji tamji kangar dongha yu pasta so yu po ji tang do tang nga ga de je go do samne tin an ha ko so na tin che le kon son le ga le sar son le roller la chu sikking ma to machine chu ke kon ni che tesen je ja ta le dim de ko tesen budget sewa na te ma se te se na ta so kyu ke le sa do ris so che thong ris so ne ma yong ga ris te de jin ne jin che geva ke korma te so ko so na koran so pinto yo mi ma nga ma je ga la so nga mi ma nang ba san je ba la ta jam ju dong ba ma hi ne ma yo hu na nga ke to dang de so pe ma bo se he yus ta nga jam de dong ba shu sa jo la nga ke to dang ke nga so jan che le de no win de lin de pa che ta tang de ya yu ni ma na nga so ja de ka sa an de jin de se hu yus o de na shi ke che zo be si chung chung na de ma chen bo na sem si de shi ni bo yu pa sang je rong yu pa chi dewan du pa dong har men du pa 상마 직체는 보다 내 뇽보 가포 tipo 용의 삶이 마도 나 대미 삶기 세제 요면 무슨 참은 무슨 또 된다이나 카카 랍히마가 마셀은 랍히마 샘들 도하다 강하다 소소케 제 체는 보대 약간 두바 제 대와 집어지는 대약간 두바도 요레스 대등으로 저 총총 제가 섬노 땅폰 제진데 che namba sanje bas ni de rimba yin de dogo de moto hot de kar che chu tike ji go zang ge che sanje je kompang la ta nya sen to gan tin do ya ta che ma ge chu chu je san de nya wan gang ban je ma je do ke ma se chang ma so so sem de de ni da ji de ge zambel gang ar de tek zo do yores
So, reflecting on, again, the preciousness of achieving or having a precious human birth with the 18 leisures and endowments, having access to the Dharma, having the ability to make the choice to choose, virtue and cultivate wholesome qualities, and developing, having this path which enables us, helps us to develop the mind of compassion, considering all sentient beings to be like our own parents, to have affection for all beings, feeling like none of them, understanding that there's no one who's not at one point in time or another been our own mother or father, and whatever virtue that we engage in, really being able to direct our intention in a way that is wholly virtuous, and really being committed to helping, or benefiting others, really working to benefit beings, then, this is kind of like our duty as those who have, such great fortune. That we're like, we can be like ambassadors of the Dharma, that really, in whatever circumstance that we're in, to make it our mission to really benefit others as best we can, to help ease their suffering, to help lead them in the right direction. Like, for instance, even when we go to work and, in the context of our jobs, when there's an opportunity to kind of, simply introduce to somebody concepts that maybe they've never heard before, like karma, or people who don't think twice about killing insects, for instance, to sort of point out to them that, you don't have to kill this bug. Actually, if you kill this bug, then it's really a negative accumulation for you. It shortens your own lifespan. It becomes like a negative, something negative that actually can be harmful, to yourself. And instead, you can sort of, in a skillful way that you feel that they can be receptive to and understand, you can encourage them to find another option, and to set a bug free outside instead of squashing it. There was somebody that Drupon met who said to her how wonderful it was that, even just the change in becoming Buddhist, that led him to value the life of living beings and to not, sort of mindlessly kill insects. So he said, like before, he always, if there was any insect or any mosquito that landed on him, he would immediately, slap it. He would try to do whatever he could to kill it. But that now, after becoming Buddhist, that he understood. So he, if a mosquito landed on his body, he would like gently, brush it away, or sort of like, maybe catch it and carefully put it outside. And he really was relaying to her how huge, this thing that seems so kind of insignificant and small actually is such a huge accomplishment of virtue. It's such a big change, to in somebody's life to value the lives of all living beings and to really be dedicated, to protecting the lives of those beings, understanding that all beings have the Buddha nature. So every being has the Buddha nature. Every being has the potential for Buddhahood, or has the potential for awakening. And so therefore we value the lives of all beings and do everything that we can to protect them. This is so, principal to the Buddhist path. And in working to protect the lives of beings, not, being really intentional about not killing insects and so forth, this contributes, to creating the conditions and causes for our own longevity in this life and in future lives. We understanding the hardships and sufferings and difficulties of all beings, and, really making our lives meaningful in such a way that we help to ease that suffering and hardship, at every chance that we have, in any way that we can. And the Dharma is something that we have to, progress in gradual stages with. We can't expect that, we hear about awakening and then there's like a desire, I'm going to become enlightened immediately. So it certainly doesn't work that way. And nobody can just take us and, lift us out of samsara and place us in the state of awakening. Likewise, no one can condemn us, to the suffering of hell. It's all our own mind. It's all created by the seeds that are generated in our own mind, and karma. And so when we understand the power that we have in creating our own destiny, then we know that it's a gradual path of planting favorable seeds, purifying the mind, progressing in gradual stages on the path to awakening. And that, primarily, it's up to us to cultivate the qualities of our own mind.
No, so then text Dani Saka to bed disajoda that goni direct Drotan Chikpari Tama then Tupan disaju then Senu Jitin Torne the draw La Nepesimji Tamji Torne then Omi Topoku Shinkano go son some and the Yanji did the reg de rain the draw the solo torne. The drone never seemed to the new mobile dribba, the scissor dribba, the dribba tam jitane, Any omitoku shinkana nangju simji ko de donne deni omitoku shinkana ko son sene deni de ta tundro sinye dela ta regma boyele tundro ta America ta Europe so tundro ta simji che tundro shime da chöd so be ya po nang na shi ji yore be ta de so konzo le cha ro le kuran to da che le mage sa sha tindo le lang ne de yin ya ma ga da ko ja de ro pa che de ko zo le ka la sang bo ri ta ngai ma na bu le na che ta tindo de sim ji mang de solo la chan de ka chang cha le ka cha ka nga do ma shu yo de tindo na ta che ko zo le ke che le ge wa sa sha na ni ke te se ma chang ya le che wa ta le mage sa sha ke na ni ke te ni 차 또 덴데리 데레데니 데조 강아요 다 코란서라 셈 데시 님보 요레데 추 셈 데시 님보 요나 추고하게 요말 링고 그 동아스 마미 도모고 링고 그 동아스 데로 링고 그 동아스 동할 강아만 보여 데데다 모토고 데데네 오미 토쿠신 간고 산미 미과체네 데데제도나데 모토 핀토 삼지마자 그 요레스
So then we go through the same process in the text, it's exactly the same with each of the 6 realms. So then next, after the realm of hungry ghosts or yidaks, we have animals. So it says pate with the skull cup in your hand. We're still in the form of Vajra Yogini. And with that skull cup, we scoop out Amrita. This Amrita is sprinkled over the world of the animals. It transforms the environment into the pure realm of Akanishta, or the Buddha land of Ogmin. And as it touches the animals, then it fully purifies all 3 veils, or obscurations of afflictive emotions, obscurations of karma, the subtle cognitive obscurations, and they are fully purified and placed in the state of Vajra Yogini. And so again, we should really use this opportunity, or this practice in a way to contemplate the suffering of each of these realms and to really give rise to a deep compassion. Like, really thinking of the suffering, all the different types of suffering of animals in the animal realms. And in our American Europe, sometimes the people think like, oh, it's not so bad to be an animal. Like, a lot of animals have it pretty good, right? And it is true, the way that like pets are treated, like the dogs and cats who are really cared for by their owners and given good food and live, a kind of relatively luxurious life. But, often that is not the case, in Tibet, in the, sometimes when you would see, in the just like freezing temperatures, the animals, the livestock that, are shivering in the cold. And, of course, the suffering that these animals who live in the wild have to endure, with fear of being eaten by one another, and many who are abused in domestic situations, bound into servitude and beaten and mistreated. And in general, it is said that animals, that they suffer from the obscuration of very heavy mental dullness, so stupidity and mental dullness. But of course, depending on the particular karma, those who have better karma as animals are born into a nice, cushy situation in Europe or America in the West, where you're somebody's pet. But then there are those who also have relatively, karma, which leads to more difficult situations and greater suffering. So there's a lot of different varieties of suffering in the animal realms. But in any case, in contemplating this and really thinking, giving rise to the mind of compassion, and through this practice, having the intention to, benefit all the beings of each of these realms, is the meditation.
너다 발생지는 되기래. 가만히 발생지는 되기래.
Chirangso 최랑소 추주 추니 바르베 다타 추주 가르레.
다 주초 다 이제 까마 쪄 좀 더. 뭔다.
Yeah. Yeah.
안 조셔니야서.
Yeah, so she was like, maybe we should take a 5-minute break. I said, I think it's almost 12, right? Is it 12 there? And she said, oh, we have only 10 minutes left. Yeah.
아니 백 다니 사게 되버드 주 매네 그 또만 메시다 다도 건나 시치게 마 셔겨러지 대 참만 저게 되는 좀도 대다 밀라 되니 양 미신이들 지가 남치제 동하라 다다 건 시바나지 요래 되더니 레근전 카시 아마 저거나 유급서 치 통통 마도 요말 정도에 됐어다 지왕님 막 속규글래 세샤는 남니게 되니 제 통통 찬도요리 되니 가시는 설제와는 내바 차대요리 다 됐어 그지 오늘 지나 파마til라 부 니유나 찍들 레가야 보당 종지 보당 레가야 보당 되니 진짜 차 부제들은 내바 차도로 때 가르시는 레든 드라이어 오늘 지나 레든 드라 미와이나 파마til라 부니에 찍바 지장 연구를 연구 말이 간사도 레그인데 찍들 내바 차도로 내바데 차도 그래서 지왕이 막거든 다다 주는 jonne 연구 덱다운 나츠린 차시 파멜 딕바타 동데베 켈린차케 디지왕이 마데 제제나게 다 럼보치 송고도 멜라 파슈아다 컨트롤랑네 컨트롤랑 같은 슈아다 동아 딕바체베 같은 디스 컨트롤랑 데가데 고온다 랍토그 말이지 요네 당에 치랑나 카상가랑 컨트롤랑 치랑나 파슈아다 덱진 책임 받은 랍송스 고온다 슈샤와나 용마처 딜레드게 나차데 용거리데 이디 나미게 고온다 슈샤르 나미데게 치랑 미 라딜라티나 트라트바다 나차 뇽도리스 트라트네 치랑 고온다 마지다 nga 슈 파워인스 코도 데인스 nga 슈이산 디나미게 처 제와린 갑살라 데니 지랑 뭐지 거랑 암철을 띠는 냉은 맛은 봐. 뭐지 거랑 내 빠차 되그랬어. 근데 땅 무슨 배치 가르스는 멀어파 잠자 컨트롤랑 거서 책 미파든들란 되니 진짜로 무슨 그 샤빠 제거야. 본다스 근데 정선 근데 제 쉬셔는 되니 수소를 나차 매용 받아. 다디는 쭉 내 거니 싶어는 땡 사보리 냠내지 땡 사보 드르지 냠내 제션 스소라 츠그 누바메요 데니 제다 돈 뜻어가 나사다 바제메요 저 참나 렘바지네 용거 요레스
So then we have the human realm. So as it says, then the next section, pit with the skull cup in your hand, you scoop out the Amrita. The Amrita is sprinkled over the world of human beings, transforming it into the Buddha field or Buddha land Ogmin, which is the pure realm of Akanishta. And then pit, again, by the touch of the Amrita, the human beings are purified of the 3 veils and transformed into Vajrayogini. So now we have the contemplation of suffering of the human realms. So in the human realms, you have so many different types of suffering, but primarily the 4 types of suffering, which are birth, old age, sickness, and death. And we see the way in which, the karmic circumstance of beings is so different. Also, just thinking about the different varieties of how beings experience death. That some people, some are even before they're able to emerge from the womb, before their mother gives birth, they die in the womb. Or others, they are born and then they are sick, from early on, and they don't live for very long, or they die in infancy or in childhood. And this all has to do with, the particular karma of that being. We see so much diversity in the situations and the kind of inclinations and dispositions of being. So like, for instance, a parent might have two children and they're so different. You know, one might be really attractive and really successful and really bright, you know, and the other one might be, you know, kind of unattractive and not really have much good fortune in their life, or they might be kind of sickly and always getting sick, you know. And again, this difference is because of karma. If there weren't, you know, these karmic differences, then like two parents would have children that are really, you know, pretty much the same, right? Or that are at least very similar. But we can see that even in a single family, you know, that the dispositions of the different children and kind of their realities are so different, and that difference those differences can be attributed to karma. So when you know, when somebody, you know, when we have disputes, and if somebody, you know, harms somebody out of really strong anger, you know, if you physically lash out, if you hurt someone, if you harm them, if you say like all sorts of like hurtful words out of anger, you know, Garchen Rinpoche always talks about the importance of and the karmic result of having remorse and apologizing to that person. That like, if you get really angry and maybe you know, you hit someone or you punch someone or you say all sorts of hurtful things, then if you have some regret and then you go to that person and you apologize, you know, say, oh, I really did you wrong, I really said some hurtful things, I'm sorry, you know, or I was really out of line, I, you know, really crossed the boundary there and I'm really sorry, that then the karma of the apology manifests. It's like it doesn't completely counteract the karma of the negativity, but like, for instance, if the karmic ripening later, or like later in this life or in a future life, is it manifests as some form of illness or something like that, then the karma of having like amended your wrongdoing by apologizing and recognizing your fault manifests as, like, for instance, if you're sick, then you receive some treatment or some medicine and it's successful, like it actually cures you of your illness. That is the result. That is how something like, you know, the regret and apology of having wronged someone may manifest. Whereas on the other hand, if you harm someone or if you say all sorts of hurtful things and you don't have any regret, you think you are the winner, you walk away and like maintain this thought like, yeah, I'm the hero in this situation, or I'm the one who really showed them. And I like, if you're empowered by your wrongdoing and you hang on to that without any feeling of regret or remorse, that then this, you know, doesn't bear any fruit but the negative fruit that ripens in the form of some way or some aspect, some manifestation of suffering. And so again, there's so much in that can be, you know, even if the karma can't be fully purified by the apology and the remorse, that it can definitely lighten the intensity of the karmic accumulation. That's all.
Okay,
So we can close here for the morning session, and thank you all. Ningong gyala kongso chirangso nyamle nyunadra kaju yinada nga shira hako me mo ngala tesco de koryore dene de Ningong chutu niba ne jidang chekabar Yena charang so ge charji gande yopa tintin me nyamlen yena da kachu yena da chi kingyu be. Kongso lap songe.
Nyamne the teaching the Nigong Jabla chi takes a person young so Nyamne tang ma long term ma tong yana chirang go mara.
Okay, laso.
Yang chudo chari yang chila li janger kunsa.
So gande laso deni nga chidro la yang chat de magoa yang na de na de chitu chik dawa goa gande go sarela.
Nigong Jabla so chutu kadin go to the
Chirang so chitu nipa go to gerawa. Deni gare deni denda yana nyamne dang lung chena deni nga gare de chitu sumba dawa yongna yak sarwe gare.
person la chutu sumpa chutu moto nyamne hado sudo chi gonda tela chi pena.
Gonda yom pache gonda yom mare zeren gonda la yom mare wa chitu nipa ne jidang cheka bardu mato kongso gonda yore love songi. So we're trying, sorry, just to clue you guys in, we're discussing the schedule and, you know, translate the need or the lack thereof of translation. So she was thinking that in the afternoon, it would be good to do some practice and to give you all the transmission. And so we were wondering when I should sign on. She was saying, oh, well, maybe the afternoon, we can just do practice and the transmission. And then she's asked if I have time in the evening. And I said, I don't think that there is a schedule in the evening. Correct me if I'm wrong. So do you guys have something planned, or what is probably the other option I had mentioned to her was that I don't know how long the practice and the transmission could take, but maybe I could sign on at like 3 or 3:15 or something. Anyway, does anybody have any thoughts?
We're scheduled to come back at 2 till 4:30.
Yeah.
2.5 hours.
How long is
Then tomorrow morning.
Like how long is it?
Tomorrow's 10 to
The
12.
practice is 1 hour.
1 hour.
Yeah.
1 hour.
Tibet.
And then we usually have like a 20-minute tea break. So maybe we can do a transmission for an hour and then have a 20-minute tea break and then you come on.
That makes sense. Then tea break jela nga yung na ganda yung sarila kiyorwa. Ngaso ta chwa kain sina chitu chik tenda de nyamlen chena deni long gatse gorgere long.
Kama som nga something go mari.
Kama sum nga mato.
Yeah, long lelo de pan do yera.
Yeah. Okay, deni tea break jela yongo. Can somebody just text me when you have your tea break?
I don't understand what you're asking.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm saying if somebody can just text me during the tea break, somebody's saying yes. Okay, so we're good. So you guys will come back at 2 and do the practice.
Great. Thank you, Virginia.
Okay.
Puchina loza wakarenchi.
Hold on.
Short prayer.
Yeah.